On this next episode of Outlook TV, the Vancouver International Film Festival's Growing Up Coy,
Davey Wavy and his Lost Boy tour,
Dancing at Timberline with Angus, and much, much more.
Hello and welcome to Outlook TV. I'm Rebecca Wyman.
And I'm Robert Mackay, and you're watching the Queer Magazine news show that brings you the stories that matter the most from coast to coast.
We're going to kick it off in Vancouver with the Vancouver International Film Festival.
For the film Growing Up Coy, about the battle over the bathroom.
This year, the Vancouver International Film Festival brought director Eric Jahola of the movie Growing Up Coy to Vancouver, and we got to meet with him.
Girl Scouts Tuesday.
Growing Up Coy is about a 6-year-old transgender girl. She's born a boy but identifies as a girl, and her family is fighting for her right to use the girls' bathroom in Colorado. When I first went to Colorado to meet Coy, I did not know what to expect. I had never met a transgender person that young, 6 years old. And when I walked into the house and I introduced myself to the family, the first thing Coy did was come in and give me a big hug. And that was just a moment that solidified to me why I was making the film and also what was at stake in terms of this case. The Coy is just a kid. She's a 6-year-old child who just wants to be a kid like any other kid. And I hope that that's what comes through in the film, and that's what I connected with while I was making it.
It's in her face on it disappear.
Since we finished the film, Coy is doing great. She's back in school, enrolled as a girl, and the family is doing well also. Now that they're out of the public eye, they're very much looking forward to getting back to normal and just doing the things that every other family would do.
Coy, as a boy, turning into a girl. I'm Wonder Woman.
One of the most rewarding things so far is hearing from parents who have seen the film or have heard about the film, and they have either been going through the same thing with their kids, or they know someone who's going through the same thing, or their school is dealing with this issue. And to be able to see these parents approach us and write to us and ask for resources, and also to thank us for making the film and putting it out there so that they know that they're not alone in what they're going through.
She could at least say, well, you know, my parents stood up for me and always supported me.
So right now there are 12 states in the United States that are suing the U.S. government because of the Obama administration's guidelines, which say that students should be allowed to use the bathroom that they identify with. So I would love to be able to show the film in those states, because I suspect that there are a lot of policymakers and lawmakers who are making these policies and have never met possibly a transgender person. So hopefully if they can watch the film and spend 90 minutes with Coy and her family, people will actually be able to see the people that these laws and policies affect.
From VIP, this is Gary Wolfeder for Outlook TV.
Up next, we're going to go to the Vancouver International Writers Festival for Ivan Coyote's Tomboy Survival Guide.
Is that a book for me?
No, it's a book for me.
Oh.
Hello, Vancouver. Today I'm down at the Writers' Festival for Canadian treasure, Ivan Coyote's new passion project, Tomboy Survival Guide.
I like my body now from about the belly button up, I'd say.
I'm really looking forward to Wednesday and Thursday night at the Writers' Fest because it's the live show with the full band. Specifically, I think we're doing a Tomboy Survival Guide show just for high school students, so we're not editing anything. I talked to Hal and I was like, they're swearing. Like, there's a big long swear. I would call it a swearing solo. And Hal's like, yeah, give her. It's a writers' festival. Like, they're not there for everything to be safe. So we're doing the Tomboy show with the full band. Like, and that might be monumental for at least one of those little girls or little trans people out there who are going to finally get to see themselves reflected, and not in a well of loneliness way. This is a celebration. This is tomboys up there like killing it on the drums and doing trumpet solos and singing in 4-part harmony and wearing suits and ties. I talk pretty frankly about my family in the show, my relationship with my dad.
He said, "You must be my niece. I am your Uncle Rob."
I was working on the book, took pieces from the book that I knew were going to translate to the stage, brought together. I was playing at the time in Queer as Funk, I was playing Barry sax, so I sort of cherry-picked out of the band, like small ensemble, drums, trumpet, bass, myself. We scored it together, the four of us. We scored the live stage show, all the while I was working on the book, and kept working on the book, and then tweaked the stage show, and then worked on the book, tweaked the stage show, worked on the book. I think my grandma would call it frugal.
Dear Ivan. Hi there. I am a mom to 4 sons.
If I get a letter that moves me, and then I take time, I write them back and say, this is going to take me some time. I wish my son probably was 6 months before I actually fully responded to that letter, because it was more than just a advocacy email sending them a link to whatever hotline. It was like I wrote my story.
You're going to be at the York Theatre on November 12th. Could you give us a pitch for this?
I'm launching a brand new show with Vivek Shreya. It's called Pretty Good. Amber Dawn's going to open for us. Cindy Machizuki, the visual artist, is premiering a new collaboration that her and I are working on. And there's going to be a 3-piece band, drums, trombone, and Peggy Lee playing cello. Compositions by Ellen Marple.
Just to be a good tomboy.
And down at the Writers' Festival on Granville Island, this is Leroy Wan for Outlook TV.
We're going to have to take just a little break now.
We need some time to adjust our papers and pens.
I'm Davey Wavy, and you are watching Outlook TV.
Welcome back. You're watching Outlook TV.
Up next, we have the gay agenda with Fred Camperman.
Aloha! Recently, I left the comforts of Canada and went on a cruise to Hawaii on Holland American Lines, where the majority of passengers were between the ages of 65 and death, an age group that I'm fast approaching. I was impressed to see that the ship had LGBTQ events every night, but when my partner and I went to the bar, we found that we were the only ones there. I couldn't believe that we are the only gays in the village. I mean, it's a cruise ship after all. Later on, we did meet a gay American couple who said they thought they were the only gays on board. They told me each time he introduced himself and his partner to the older people, he always felt as if he was coming out. Even though he's completely out to everyone at his government job, he felt odd coming out to different senior citizens at his dinner table each night. Then I realized it must have been because of the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s that wiped out a huge part of the ship's demographics of older gay men. One day at my table, an 80-year-old woman from Saskatoon told me that she was visiting an old girlfriend who was her bridesmaid 65 years ago. She explained her bridesmaid never married, and she lived with another woman as best friends for 60 years. As she continued to describe her friend's relationship, I felt like screaming, "Can't you just say it? Your friend's a lesbian." But she couldn't. She didn't even have the vocabulary to even voice it. Then I realized we have a lot of programs to help youth come out of the closet. But what about programs for older LGBT community? As the next generation who survived the AIDS epidemic are turning gray, they face a whole new scenario. They've been out their whole life, but now they feel they might have to go back into the closet if they go into a senior's homes, because many of these facilities are run by Catholic charities, and they might not be so accepting of them. They feel that they might have to hide their sexuality because they might be discriminated against. The government has got to start programs geared towards the aging LGBT community so that we don't have to go back into the closet, but we can have a full life full of pride. For the Gay Agenda, I'm Fred Camperman.
Next, we've got Davey Wavy.
For the Lost Boy Tour, where is he?
We understand that you're coming to Vancouver this time as part of your Lost Boy Tour. Can you tell our audience what it's all about?
So we are literally getting lost around the globe to share the extraordinary stories of everyday LGBT people.
Once I got my first tail, it was a little shady at first.
We started in Atlanta and we filmed a gay mermaid. which is a thing. And then we went to Amsterdam and we filmed a gay Syrian refugee. Then we hopped over to London and we did a great piece with the Warwick Rowers that do that shirtless, or naked calendar. They were shirtless for our video because it's YouTube, so unfortunately no penis. And then we flew to South Africa and we did a great piece there, going to some of the townships and interviewing the couples there, seeing what queer life is like outside of the city center. And then we went up to Thailand and interviewed a transgender bodybuilder. And now we're in Vancouver. We did a great piece with Connie Smudge. We did Smudge's smoked salmon schmear. We did a cooking segment. And we went up to the mountain and met some lumberjacks. And that's it. That was kind of our grand finale. Vancouver's the final stop on our tour.
Can you tell us what the connection was with you and IGLTA?
Yeah, so we partnered with them on the tour, and they set us up with a bunch of the properties that we stayed at, and networked with some of the people in the cities. And for us, like, it felt like wherever we went, it was family, because it was like immediately connecting us with those queer folks kind of all around the world. And you immediately had this like amazing connection, and it made all the difference. We felt like we were home wherever we went. I'm in London right now, and then flying to Cape Town, and then Bangkok. Yeah, so I've been making YouTube videos for about 9 years, almost 10 years now. And it was really when like YouTube first started. And I think I've made maybe 700 or 800 videos at this point. And for me now, what's interesting is I've said a lot of what I need to say. Like 700 videos later, like I don't have any words left. So now what's really interesting for me is to kind of widen the umbrella and bring in other people. And, you know, as like a white, cisgender, gay man, my story's been told in a disproportionate, you know, amount of time and energy. So let's hear some of those other stories and hear some of those other voices that are more underrepresented in our community.
Yes, and that was sort of part of the focus of the Lost Boy tour, I believe.
Yeah, like a gay mermaid, like that's a story that hasn't been told, so let's hear it. So the content is going live now. The first video's up, the gay mermaid video is up, and we're gonna be releasing it throughout October and into early November. So yeah, it's all happening now.
Up next, it's the Daily Extra.
In Vancouver with Robin.
Hi, I'm Robin Perel, and I'm the editorial director of DailyExtra.com, Canada's queer news source. Here are some of the stories we've been following in the last few weeks. Last month, we brought you news of Vancouver's new memorial for sex workers, believed to be the first memorial to pay tribute to sex workers anywhere in Canada. The City of Vancouver unveiled the memorial in September to honor the sex workers they drove out of the West End in the 1980s. The memorial's unveiling sparked heated debate in some sectors of the gay community. Daily Extra columnist Kevin Dale McEwen says he supports paying tribute to the sex workers who were forcibly expelled from Vancouver's gay neighborhood, but he also suggests that the sex workers were sometimes disruptive, attracting high volumes of cruising traffic, engaging in loud turf wars, and giving the neighborhood what he calls a zoo-like atmosphere. Jamie Lee Hamilton disagrees. As a sex worker, she was kicked out of the West End and fined under the City of Vancouver's 1982 bylaw. She and UBC professor Becky Ross say McEwen's column casts the sex workers as the villains, blaming them for their own expulsion into more dangerous, poorly lit areas of the city. They say McEwen's argument smacks of the same moralism and sex shame that fueled the Concerned Citizen and Shame the Johns groups that picketed and harassed the sex workers and pressured the city to kick them out 35 years ago. For more on this debate, go to dailyextra.com. In other Vancouver news, an iconic diner in the gay village made headlines this month for what seems to be a significant turnover in its staff. 3 former managers say Hamburger Mary's saw 68 staff members leave between May and August 2016. Hamburger Mary's only reopened in May after being closed for more than a year for extensive renovations. The former front of house manager, kitchen manager, and general manager all allege that working conditions, pay, and treatment by the diner's owner are to blame for the high staff turnover. The diner's owner, Phil Moon, did not respond to Extra's repeated requests for comment. The restaurant remains open and a fixture in the Davie Village. In national news, a tribunal has granted workers' compensation benefits to a gay firefighter in Nova Scotia. The firefighter testified that his colleagues intentionally put his life in danger because he's gay. According to the firefighter, his colleagues harassed him, posted gay porn around the workplace, threatened him with assault, attacked him with a metal door, and tampered with his breathing apparatus, putting him in life-threatening danger. The tribunal found it remarkable that the worker remained in the workplace as long as he did, and more remarkable that the treatment to which he was subjected was allowed to continue. Back in Vancouver, some drag performers have been challenging gender and the gender binary on stage. As Rose Butch says, they're neither a drag king nor a drag queen. Instead, they use the term drag thing. Here's why.
I'm a non-binary person, so my drag, I thought, should be non-binary as well.
To me, drag is gender performance.
I think inherently drag is making fun of gender.
You can watch the full video on our Daily Extra Facebook page. And for much more local, national, and international news, go to dailyextra.com, like our Facebook page, and follow our Twitter feeds. This is Robin Perel from Daily Extra in Vancouver for Outlook TV.
We're going to have to take another little break now.
We have many important things to write.
Welcome back. You're watching Outlook TV. And we're going to go to part 5 in our Talk to Him series.
To learn more about what it means to have the status of undetectable HIV.
The Health Initiative for Men, or HIM, is based in downtown Vancouver. They provide health services for men ranging from emotional, physical and mental health. Today we're talking to HIM about undetectable HIV.
I always disclose to guys that I'm undetectable before we start having sex. Maybe 5% of the time I'll get turned down.
Talk early and talk often about your sexual history, about testing, about any recent STIs, and to really contribute to a much greater dialogue within our community about sexually transmitted infections, HIV status, and what this means. So undetectability refers to an individual who is HIV positive, who has been on antiretroviral therapy, or ART, and who has subsequently obtained a level of HIV in the bloodstream that is so low that it wouldn't be found in most HIV tests. So generally speaking, that would be 200 viral copies per milliliter of blood. The sooner that we can get individuals on antiretroviral therapy, the quicker it is that they can obtain that undetectable status of HIV in the bloodstream, and the better their own health outcomes are going to be. Thanks to the largest and probably most well-known study to date, the Partner study, we know that the highest estimated risk for transmitting HIV, if you're an HIV undetectable person, is around 4%. What we do know is that it could be as close as 0. In other words, there really are no documented cases in which a person who has undetectable HIV status has transmitted the virus. The face of HIV and what HIV means to individuals and couples has changed dramatically. The life course and the outcomes for individuals has changed. And really, probably most paramount for undetectability, transmissibility has changed. So in terms of a couple, does this individual need to worry? Is this individual at risk for contracting HIV? And we would say, based on all the available evidence that's coming out of Partners and other studies, the answer is no. Living with a person, having sexual relationships with a person who is HIV positive and undetectable does not put you at risk for contracting HIV. I think more importantly, whether you're in a casual relationship or a long-term relationship with an individual who's HIV positive and undetectable, if you have that kind of gut instinct reaction that this person is somehow unsafe, or that you're at risk for being with this person sexually, or maybe even at risk being around this person, those are internal judgments that I think really reflect stigma and shame within the gay community and not the scientific evidence that's available.
For more information on this topic and others, you can check it all out at the HIM website. I'm John Paul Payne in Vancouver for Outlook TV.
Want to go dancing?
Yes.
Do you know how to two-step?
No.
Then let's go to Timberline and learn.
Let's.
We're at the Pump Jack Pub in Vancouver for Timberline, which is a country western dance lesson night, and it's a lot of fun, so let's see what's going on. Can you tell us a little bit about what we can expect for tonight?
Well, hopefully we're going to have a full room full of people doing two-step and line dance and West Coast swing.
and increasing awareness for raising funds for charities in Vancouver, Foundation of Hope, and Loving Spoonful in Vancouver.
Can you give us a basic outline of what Timberline is?
Timberline is a group of folks that get together once a week and we teach dance on a community basis.
So for a real beginner like me, where would you suggest we start?
Where do you suggest we start? Right here, right now.
Okay. How many people are involved in the group?
On average weekly, it's probably about 25 to 30, and on a Friday night here, we'll probably have about 80 folks that'll come through. It's awesome energy.
And is it a real cross-section of people, or who comes to this?
It's men, women, straight, gay, LGBT, just friends, allies. It's anybody who wants to dance and have a good time.
You mentioned this is a charity event or organization, charitable-based organization. Is there a cost to be involved in this, or how does it work?
The weekly fees are by donation only. Our suggested donation is $10. But in 7 years, we've managed to garner about $15,000 for charity. So I'm pretty proud of the community for supporting us and for supporting the community.
Fantastic. Now, where do you meet on a regular basis?
At St. Paul's Anglican Church over on Jervis Street, 1140 Jervis Street in Vancouver.
Great. Now, if somebody wants to get involved, where can they go to find out more?
TimberlineDance.org is the website, and TimberlineDance@hotmail.com is the place that you can get information directly.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for this episode of Outlook TV, but we will be back.
And we have some social media for you. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or shoot us an email at OutlookTV.
And you can come and be one of us.
Become one of us.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Rebecca Wyman.
And I'm Robert Mackay.
Stay fabulous, Canada.